I'm excited because our guest today is a graffiti artist turned metal sculptor turned chef who learned to channel his creativity using cake as his canvas. He's the founder and executive chef of the popular bakery Charm City Cakes and has multiple locations of the DIY cake decorating studio Duff's Cake Mix. He became a household name on the hit Food Network series Ace of Cakes, which aired for 10 seasons and inspired millions of bakers around the world to think outside the box and push the limits of what is possible. He's gone on to make thousands of hours of television, from Duff Till Dawn to Cake Masters, Duff Takes the Cake, Dessert Games, and too many more to list. You can continue to see him on the Food Network on Kig's Baking Championship, Buddy vs. Duff, and more. Did I mention he's a New York Times bestseller? How does he have time for all this? Because above all, he is also a devoted husband and a new father, and my friend, Duff Goldman, is in the house.
Wow, that was the best intro I've ever got. I feel like rising up. Back on this, I feel like that should have been playing the whole time you were reading that.
Well, that's the episode. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. That's all we have time for.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, Duff, I'm so excited that you're here, man. We've been friends for a while and, been a fan of yours forever, as so many millions of people have. And what you do on cake and artistry is incredible, but I think it's your personality is really what people connect to more than anything else. Yeah, and your belly button that's sticking out there. Exactly. But as a great chef and as a great host, you can't just start with a main course, right? No, you gotta ease into it, some apps, right?
Totally.
Yeah. So this is a segment called Starters. Okay. That's how we get the party started.
And it's nice because it's like a cooking reference, but also a sports reference. So you know what I mean?
And all the way from Kansas City, the home of the world's best barbecue, here is Gates Barbecue for you, Duff Goldman. We've got
You are kidding me.
This is Gates Barbecue. This is the world's best barbecue sauce, beef brisket sandwich, ribs. We're making it happen for you. This was flown in. Our friends at Gold Belly, you know Gold Belly. They help make it happen. It's very easy. They piece it together. Yeah.
I cannot thank you enough. Gates. All right. So here's the thing. I did a lot when I was really young. I lived in Kansas City, and this exact barbecue sauce was in my baby bottle. Me and my brother grew up on Gates Barbecue. Yeah. So I'm just going to do the interview like this the whole time.
You can do it like that. You can put it on the table. You can eat it. You can get into it if you want. I mean, it's hot and fresh.
I'm not going to eat it right now because I'm going to get sauce all over it. I don't want you to videotape me eating barbecue because people can be like, that guy's an animal.
You have to have one bite. Come on. Yeah, it's very on brand for you too.
Here we go.
All right.
Cheap, fizzy bread. Yeah. That's the secret to good barbecue. Cheap, shitty bread.
That's right. Wonder Bread.
Wonder Bread.
Exactly.
Not even Wonder Bread, like the grocery store brand of Wonder Bread.
Yeah, exactly.
Not even that good.
I don't know if you need wet naps. I do. You went more civilized approach there. It was good.
Yeah.
I already got barbecue sauce on.
You're eating a rib.
Yeah, well, I went for it. I mean, this is Gates Barbecue, man, from Kansas City right there. Yeah. But
I love how you just dive right in. You know,
that's right,
this is one thing I always admire about you.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not holding back. Barbecue sauce on camera. I'm not. Come on, Duff. Yeah.
I'm telling you, people ask me all the time, how do you do this thing? Like, how'd you, get to the same? Enthusiasm.
That's right.
Right, enthusiasm. You have to be enthusiastic about what you do. If you're not And the thing is, when you're enthusiastic, it gets other people excited about what you're doing.
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
What I mean? It's like, wait, look at this cool thing. It's really cool. Everybody's like, let me see the cool thing. I want to see, because everybody likes cool stuff.
Yeah.
Totally. Enthusiasm is the way to go.
Well, you got some enthusiasm on your shirt, too. There you go. And here you go. This is also from the folks at Gates for you.
Oh!
Yeah, they hooked it up.
Dude, I think the thing is people think that Gates pays me.
Yeah, right.
And no, they don't. I just love barbecue. So I think they're probably like, thanks for always talking about us all the time.
Well, it's delicious.
And you know what? I get a lot of grief from my buddies. I have buddies that are really good barbecue master guys. I have buddies that are from Kansas City.
Yeah.
And they're always you're always talking about Gates and that place is it's a chain. First of all, it's 5 restaurants. It's not a chain. It's not Wendy's.
A couple locations.
Yeah, they have a couple locations. They're still making everything in-house. And their barbecue is incredible. And also their customer service is hilarious and super fun. And in one of their restaurants, they still have the original belt-driven fans that cool the restaurant. So it's just like this like machine. There's like a motor in the ceiling that has these like rubber belts that go out to 2 fans that are spinning this way. It's like from like the 1880s. It's amazing. Like Gates is incredible. Yeah.
That's amazing. Well,
Wow.
I'm glad
Thank
we
you
could
for all
surprise
this.
you, get you into that.
Man.
You know, I tried to pull off a miracle and get the salad dressing from Lazy R in Wichita.
It doesn't exist.
I tried. Tried.
They're gone. They've been gone for like 15 years.
But you come back for a second round on In the Zone. We'll get the salad dressing for the next one for sure.
That's amazing.
That's right. But I mean, I know you were born in Detroit. You lived in Missouri and Virginia, in Sandwich, Massachusetts, which is also right on brand for a guy like you, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously you're synonymous with Maryland and with Baltimore. But tell me a little bit about your childhood, kind of where you're from and the culinary journey. You know, it took you to Kansas City too, and why this place is meaningful.
Yeah, it's fun. You know, I like, you know, you think about sort of like all the places you've lived and like everywhere that like you kind of like made you, right? So I was born in Detroit, which is why I have so much soul. I think,
Yeah, that's right. That's
You
right.
know? And then we moved to Kansas City, and that's, I think, you know, I was very, very young, and I only lived there till 79. I was like 4 years old. And but I think that's where like me and my brother, our love of barbecue comes from. We love barbecue. You know, there's a lot of people that are really into barbecue now. And like, you know, it's just, for us, it's really nice because like now there's so many more people are aware of good barbecue and how to make it. So there's like good barbecue everywhere. We love barbecue.
Yeah.
But I always love Kansas City barbecue.
That's pretty
it's
good.
a little sweet. It's good. You know, I
know.
love the way that they roast. You know, it's like, it's not quite as smoky as Texas. And I love Texas barbecue. I love it. But Kansas City barbecue, man, it's like candy.
I'm glad you can enjoy some Gates, and don't worry, when the cameras aren't rolling, you can just really get messy and sloppy, and we got plenty.
Crush that sound.
Yeah, we got plenty for you. There's a lot more. Gates hooked it up, and our friends at Goldbelly, they definitely helped make this possible.
Oh, man, that's so cool.
Get it here to you. So our next segment here on In the Zone is called In the Zone, and it's about how you, Duff Goldman, get in the zone. That can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. You hear an athlete talk about when they're in the zone and they just are firing and they can't miss. And I know you played hockey in college. You were an athlete. And you're a musician as well. Musicians talk about getting in the zone where they're in this kind of flow state and the world kind of disappears and they're totally focused. Your creativity with baking, with food, with cakes, and even on the television game, when the red light goes on, you switch into a different gear. So for you, what does it mean to get in the zone? How does it feel when you're there, and how do you stay there?
You know, it's interesting because I think about this all the time. And it's a state that I think that, like, you know, everybody who's played sports, been around sports, you obviously know what it means. It's a state that, like, it exists, and you like, everybody who's been there knows it. And, like, you're like, yeah, you're in the zone, totally in the zone. Yeah. And it is one of the most difficult things to describe, like, A, how to get there, and B, how to stay there once you do kind of get there. And I think, you know, part of it is that, like, okay, right now we're speaking English, right? We have, like, you and I have decided on a common language that we're going to talk to each other. We're going to speak English, and this is our thing. Yeah. There is a language that I think, and I think about this a lot, but what I think happens is that between our senses and our brain has to make sense of the things that we see and hear and taste and touch and feel. And I think that what we do as people is that we kind of take our sort of collective experience from, you know, the time we're born, and we actually turn that into, like, our own language that we communicate. Like, the way that, like, I experience the color blue is, like, we both can look at something and say that's blue, but the way between my eyes and my brain, the way it translates blue, it's my own thing, and you have your own thing, and these guys have their own way of sort of, like, creating the color blue in their mind.
Sure. And
I think that getting in the zone is kind of the same thing, where we all have sort of a different path towards it. You know, and that would, like, one of the things, I think everybody sort of can everybody can wrap their head around the concept, whether you've been in the zone or not. And I think that what we have to do is everybody has to find their way to achieve a certain level of inner peace.
Yeah.
And it's when you achieve that level of inner peace that you can get there, right? Because being in the zone for me is being in the moment, right? Being in the moment right there, having a conversation, playing a sport, cooking a meal, and, making sure that, like when you're cooking a meal, like there's a certain experience that you want to give people, right? And like I love food and I love to eat, and I think about all the food that I eat. Like, when you think about, I don't know, a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Yeah.
Okay. So everybody has had a Reese's peanut butter cup, and everybody kind of understands the experience of eating one, right? But when you actually sort of articulate kind of like what happens, right? You like first there's like the unwrapping, right? And there's a very pleasant experience of taking that super, super thin wax paper and pulling it off of a Reese's peanut butter cup. And then when you put it in your mouth and your tongue kind of feels that like soft under part where the chocolate's really thin. Yeah. But then your lips kind of encounter the thickest part, which is the edge, that serrated edge. And those little sharp, like it kind of gets you for a second right here. It doesn't hurt, but it lets you know it's there. And then you bite into it, and it's like super sweet milk chocolate and then salty peanut butter. It's an incredible experience biting into a Reese's peanut butter cup. And Reese's has thought long and hard about creating this perfect experience. And then as a chef, that's what I do. I think about kind of how to create like a meal. And so when you articulate like that kind of experience in your own mind, you don't have to articulate it. Like, as the diner, as a guest, right? This is something that I need to create and give to you. And you're not going to be like, oh, wow, the bottom's soft and the sides are thick. And then it bites into my thing. And then I get the salty. And then I get, that's not, you need to bite into it and be like, man, that's good. Right? That's my job, right? Is to do that. And I think that to create that, you have to be in the zone. You have to be thinking about like all those little things. You have to be a little bit obsessive and a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, I can see you've had hundreds and hundreds of hours of practice describing food. The way you just described a Reese's peanut butter cup made me want one more than I ever had in my entire life. That was incredible. You just got in the zone with that.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I want them all the time.
You've spent a lot of time thinking about them too. Yeah, that's good. But, you're obviously known for cakes. You're known in the food space, but you are a multifaceted, multi-talented guy. You do a lot of things that people don't necessarily know. I mean, like, for example, you studied philosophy and history in college at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and you read like crazy. I know that Shogun was your first book you read, your favorite book. Yeah. Tell me a little bit about like some stuff that people would be surprised to learn about Duff Goldman, the side they don't normally get to see on camera.
I don't know. I mean, it's funny. Like all of our lives are sort of like, someone could go to your Instagram and it's like they know what my bathroom looks like. It's kind of funny. So it's like, what is surprising? Like I love woodworking. I create. My family, like we have this like thing where like my great grandmother, my grandmother, my mom, they're all very artistic people, and they gave it to me. And I think that what kind of happens is that we go crazy if we're not doing something with our hands, and that's why we all cook and we we do lots of stuff. And so when I'm not cooking, I still need to be doing stuff with my hands, or like I would lose my mind. Yeah. So I love woodworking, and I have a daughter now. I have a 10-month-old, and I've been building all of her toys. Not all of them, but like I've been trying
amazing.
So I made her like a baby gym, and I did this really cool like redwood baby gate to like, we live in like a tree house. Yeah. And it's a death trap. Like this place, like for a kid, it is no good. It's like a loft with like open spaces. I'm like, oh god, this is a nightmare.
Yeah, you plan that well.
I've been trying to like figure out like how to baby proof the place, but still like keep it like aesthetically awesome, because it's like beautiful wood, you're out in nature. You don't want like a plastic, chicken wire.
Right. Thing. Well, it sounds like you could build something.
So I've been building. So I built it. Right now I'm working on these blocks. Yeah. I'm making her blocks, and they're poplar. And then what I did was I painted like, they're all different colors, and then I painted like the letters on top. And then I'm doing pictures around the sides and like, cool. It's really fun.
So knowing that you've always been so creative and needing to do something with your hands and find an outlet to create, you were a graffiti artist, you did metal sculpting. How did all of that creativity, how did you focus it into food?
Yeah. Good question. I think, So, I was doing graffiti. Yeah, let me think about this for a second. I don't know.
Yeah, well, this is a good thing
Yeah,
for
it's a
you
good
to know
question.
about yourself
Yeah.
too. So we're gonna get into it.
I think, I was a graffiti artist, right?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, and that was it's a graffiti and street art is an incredible branch of artistic endeavor. It really is. It's very cool. It's dangerous. It's illegal. There's a lot of stuff. Some of it is, and I think it's a big part of like sort of why I am the way I am now. I mean, like when you're 13, 14 years old and you're like breaking into train yards, painting trains at 3 a.m, getting chased by cops and dogs and other graffiti writers, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it's dangerous and exciting.
Right.
And as a kid, like, after, like, nothing's scary after that. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's afraid to get punched in the face until they get punched in the face. And then you get punched in the face, you're like, it's not as big of a deal. You know what I mean? Right? So it's like, I think like, being just such a punk ass when I was younger, like definitely like, got me some thick skin. I think that got me ready for cooking.
Yeah.
And, I did get in trouble. I got arrested a few times. And so that's when I started doing metal sculpture and, working. I tried different things, like my art teacher, my mom, my parole officer were like, you got to stop, you can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, I tried ceramics, I tried drawing, I tried all this different stuff. And I couldn't really, find anything that was like as exciting as graffiti, because it's exciting and I'm a dude.
Right.
And I like to, I like that stuff. Yeah. And then my art teacher, he was an understudy of Willem de Kooning. Which was incredible. But he was like a bronzer. He was a weird guy. His name was Jeffrey Meislich, and he would like bronze like dead birds that he'd find and build these insano shrines around him. Yeah, it was super nuts.
Crazy.
But that guy taught me how to weld.
Yeah.
And so then I started welding. I'm like, wait a minute, there's a high probability for physical harm. Yes, I'm in. This is great. So I started welding, and that's like, I was making a lot of metal sculpture because he was kind of my idol.
Yeah.
And so, you kind of, it's what you do, right? You're like, this guy who I think is very cool is doing this thing. I'm going to do that thing because it's cool.
Sure.
So then I was doing a lot of metal sculpture, and that actually got me into working on cars. I used to build cars too. And because the thing is, like, if you know how to weld, there are a lot of people that need someone that know how to weld because not that many people know how to weld.
Yeah.
Like, hey, can you come over and like, I'm like creating art. These guys are like, hey, can you put my rocker panel back on my 68 CUDA? And I'm like, yeah, sure, man.
Yeah.
So, that's got me into cars. And then the thing is spray paint and welding equipment and scrap metal and all this stuff is expensive. And, when you're 14, 15, 16 years old, you need money. My mom was, obviously not going to give me any money for spray paint.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Seriously.
And so so I started cooking at McDonald's. That was like my thing. And so I worked at McDonald's for a long time. They're actually really cool when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Working at McDonald's. Like one, they teach you all this stuff that nobody else. They teach to come to work clean, make all the French fries the same. Consistency, things like that. And they also paid for my books my first semester in college.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that was your first introduction to like working in a kitchen, McDonald's.
Yeah, I can make 12 Big Macs in a minute.
I would love to see this.
I'm amazing.
This will be our next segment that we play. I would like to see that happen. Yeah, that'd be amazing.
So then what happened, long story short, I went through college, I got a degree in philosophy and history just because, I don't know, I mean, you go to college, like, what do you go to college for, right? I wanted to play sports and,
have a good time.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, the thing is, I'm not going to learn whatever it is that I'm going to be as an adult in college. And I knew that back then.
Yep.
So I just wanted to kind of like, I don't know, I wanted to take stuff where I could like learn how to learn basically. And I thought that like, philosophy, history, they're good subjects because you read a ton. You learn a lot from history. You kind of learn a lot just about people and yourself and things. And also just like philosophy, you just learn how to argue. Basically, and be like the neurotic Jew that I am. So then I graduated there, and then I went to culinary school because I was cooking all through college. And then when I got to culinary school, so my class was 11 people, and I was the only dude.
Yeah.
And like when it got to like decorated cakes week, right? Everybody was like, "Oh yeah, I decorated cakes," and I was like, "This is dumb." decorated cake. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I was just like,
right.
was it? Because like in my head, I was like, yeah, cake decorators are like little old ladies with blue hair,
With like
and
piping saying
yeah,
happy birthday.
yeah. And then we got all this stuff.
Yeah.
Right. We got fondant and an airbrush machine and all these things. And
was-
like,
yeah.
yeah, I knew how to airbrush,
Right.
obviously. And so, and I knew how to sculpt.
Yeah.
Right. So I knew like all this like color theory that I learned from graffiti, and then all this 3D design that I learned from metal sculpture. And then
Right.
we put them together, and I was just good at cakes.
Yeah.
And my teacher's like, you should do this for a living. And I was like, I don't know.
Wow.
You know, I resisted it for a long time.
Yeah.
And then I was the executive pastry chef at a ski resort in Vail for a while. And like that chef there, he's like, you need to start a cake business. You can make a lot of money. He's like, this hotel sells that cake for like $10,000, and like we're paying you like $23 an hour to make it. I was
Wow.
like, yeah, do the math. You're probably
Yeah.
right.
You just found it and figured it out, and then you went
Yeah.
on to work in some of the biggest kitchens in the world. I mean, the French Laundry, you worked there too.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what was that experience like? Because you hear the French Laundry, and this is like the pinnacle of the culinary arts, and there you are.
Yeah.
The graffiti artist piecing it together. Like,
Did you see Ratatouille?
yeah.
Right. So remember when Colette is like describing all the different people in the kitchen, like that guy fought for the resistance, and that guy's banned from all the casinos in Monaco, and everybody has a story. It's really true. And like the thing is that when you go to a restaurant like the French Laundry, that's where you're going to find the most interesting people back there in the kitchen. To create the kind of food that Thomas Keller creates, you have to be just a kind of a crazy person. You can't be run of the mill. You can't be vanilla.
Right.
Unless he wants vanilla.
right. Yeah.
But so that's part of it. Like really interesting people that work there.
It's
I remember this
incredible.
one time. There was this dude that worked there, and he was like such like a Jersey like dumb jock dude. And when you're prepping, you're kind of like head down. You got a lot of work to do. And head down, you're focused, you're doing your thing, and like he's standing there, and most kitchens like there's a radio on. There's no radio. You are focused and you were doing your job.
Right.
And this guy was like, I forget what he said, but he was like, Joe Satriani is the greatest guitar player that ever lived. Right? He just blurted that out. And like, I'm a musician. I know a lot about music and bands and, all this stuff. And I was like standing there, and I was low man on the totem pole. I was a stage. Like they weren't even paying me. I was just like punk ass intern, like just goofy kid going to the culinary school down the street.
Yeah.
And like I was standing there, and I was like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. And then I was just like, man, how can you even say that? And
Right,
then
yeah.
it just started this whole thing. And like he got hot. He was like this like Jersey, like, yeah, who you got? Who's better than Joe Satriani? You don't know no guitar player better than Joe Satriani. I was like, I am not going to have this conversation with you, but it is scientific fact that Joe Satriani is not the greatest guitar player who ever lived.
Is it bad that I'm not sure if I know who Joe Satriani is?
You're not like a Jersey idiot, and
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
right.
And you're not like it's like. Do you guys know who Joe Satriani is? Nobody.
Nobody here knows
Nobody.
who Joe
Okay,
Satriani
he is
is the greatest guitar player of all time.
You want to know who's Joe Satriani is?
Yeah, who the hell is this guy?
Did you ever see the movie Crossroads? Not the Britney Spears one, but the one
luckily I
with,
didn't see that one
with
either.
Ralph Macchio, where he
No.
plays a classical guitar player. None of you guys have
No.
seen Crossroads with Ralph Macchio?
No.
What? It's one of the greatest movies ever made. Okay, so Ralph Macchio is this classical guitar player.
Okay.
He somehow kidnaps this old black guy from a nursing home.
Okay.
And
'Cause he's
they're,
like a great
and they're
guitar
like,
player?
he's just like this old black dude. So then they're in like some northern city, right? And then the black dude's like, I need to get to the south, and I need to be at this crossroads at a certain point, because it turned out this guy was this amazing blues guitar player, and he had sold his soul to the devil.
Oh, yeah. of
Right.
course.
So Ralph Macchio and the blues guy go down to the south, and he's like this nervous little white kid with his classical guitar.
Yeah.
Joe Satriani plays the devil in the movie, and he's this like shredding. He's one of those guys. He's like Yngwie Malmsteen. You're like,
yeah.
just like one of these guys. So he's a total idiot, right?
Right.
But I mean, he's amazing. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like. You can't listen to music like that for too long. It's not.
Yeah,
it doesn't have swing. It doesn't have funk. It doesn't have a little, a little thing to
Who
it.
is the greatest guitar player of all time?
mean,
Who would
it's-
you say? Because it's not
Prince.
Joe Satriani. Prince?
I think Prince.
It's hard to argue with
Yeah.
Prince. I saw him in concert once at
Did
the
you really?
Forum. It was the greatest concert I've seen in my life.
Oh,
it was
man.
unbelievable. Just-
We saw him at We were at the Bears. I think it was Bears Cowboys Super Bowl in Miami. Who was it? No, Bears Colts.
Yes,
Bears
in
Colts.
the rain. You were
Yeah.
at that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
and he was
God,
just
that
shredding in the rain.
insane.
Yeah, it was so
with
good.
The light and the shadow and the
good.
rain. It was epic.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So anyway, so
Sorry,
that
back
happened.
Back to Joe.
Yeah, and I was like, this guy's an idiot. I was like, I don't know, man. Jimmy Page, you know,
Yeah.
Prince. I was like,
Yeah.
you know, Jimi Hendrix. Like, you know,
Yeah.
there are a billion other people that I would say are better. Like, you know, like, and like the thing is, like, yes, he is technically amazing, but like, you know, you can be technically amazing and still be boring as hell. You know what I mean? Like,
you couldn't let that go. You had to get in
I
on
couldn't
that.
let
Right.
it go.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and it was funny. Like that guy eventually got fired because like the uniform was black chef pants, white chef coat, and the chef Thomas Keller wore black jeans.
Yeah.
He was the only one that was allowed to wear black jeans. Everybody else had to wear black chef pants. This guy kept coming in with black jeans, and like one day, like they were just like, you know what, man, you got to go.
That's enough. We've
And
had
they-
enough of your like hot takes that are missing and the black pants.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
they're like, beat it. buddy.
You're
So,
out.
yeah.
Well, thanks for taking a look back at
Sure.
you know, some of your past, and that leads us to our next segment called Rewind, where we're going to do that very thing: take a look back at some things from your past. Because because great reaction stuff. Thank you. Because you know you started your career in the Culinary Institute and as a chef, and kind of came up in that. But then let's take a look at a stage production that you put on called "F.U. Let's Bake."
Where did you find that? Okay, so all right. So this is a show that okay. I can't believe. How did you find that?
We're good here. We're
It's
good.
amazing. Okay, so back in the day, I had just started Charm City Cakes. It was 2002, and a buddy of mine owned a theater company. This like little theater company. He was like putting on productions, and like he was an amazing writer and incredible actor. It's actually incredible. He just wrote a really cool book too. He was like, I need to make some money, so nobody comes to my place because they're like super cerebral, like you know, artistic pieces.
Right.
And the idea for the show actually started in college. So me and all my buddies in college, we all lived in this house. It was all musicians. It was, you know, exactly what you're picturing right now.
Yeah, it sounds great.
And so we were sitting around one night. We were like, we should do a cooking show.
Yeah.
Because I was like the chef of the group. You know,
Yeah.
I was working in a restaurant, and so that you know, we were like, yeah, we should like.
You were
call it-
definitely sober when this idea came
Oh
about.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And I was definitely sober in that picture. And so we were like, yeah, we'll do. You know, we'll call it "F.U. Let's Bake." 'Cause, you know, I have sort of a robust personality. And, you know, we like came up with this whole thing. Like one night we like wrote this whole show. I leave, I go to culinary school. I'm cooking all over the world. I eventually make it back to Baltimore, open up my bakery. And my buddy Mike was like, we need to do that cooking show.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's do it. So we did it.
Yeah.
My buddy Jeff lived in a warehouse in a rough part of Baltimore. It was a huge, like 6,000 square foot warehouse.
Yeah.
And the first night we did this, we had 20 people there. Second night we had like 400, and like we kept going up. We had
Wow.
audiences of hundreds and hundreds. They were huge shows. So
Wow.
it was and basically it was like, you know, all these like Baltimore, you know, hipsters, and we would do real cooking. So like and this one I remember we like that whole background is all painted on wood that we found.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's not like a real kitchen. And so this one we made souffles, right?
Yeah.
So I would make souffles for you know however many people were
Right.
there. And the whole time we had all this just crazy, goofy stuff happen. Like the lights would go out, and then a bunch of ninjas came, and I had to fight the ninjas while I was making souffles. And then everybody had to be really quiet when they were in the oven. And like so we like, you know, when you try to get 100 not sober people to be silent while souffles are in the oven, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then at the end we facilitated the audience to be in this sort of same mindset that we were.
Oh, okay, nice.
If you see what I'm saying?
I think so.
We threw joints at them.
Whoa,
right?
that's you threw them out.
Yeah,
to
so
audience?
we would roll all these joints. And so the show was called Fuck You, Let's Bake. And then there was the segment was called Fuck This, Let's Get Baked. And we would throw joints at everybody. the entire audience would get high, and then we would serve souffles. We served them souffles,
my
right?
God,
And
this
then
is
everybody's
incredible.
just like, this is amazing, you know, because everybody's high,
amazing.
right? Yeah. So then, and this is like, the show was like 2 hours long. I mean, it was a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
And so after that, we would do this thing where we would ask the audience if they liked, you know, if they liked their food or not, because we had this thing called the Wheel of Death, which is this, we found this huge piece of paper, like it was like 8 feet by 8 foot piece of paper, and we painted a huge target on it, put it against the wall, and then I would strip. And I put on a cup and a gas mask, and I would stand in front of the target. And then if the audience didn't like their food, they got to pelt me with eggs. And so even though the souffles were amazing, because they were, they'd be like, no, it was gross. And so I had to strip and get in front of the circle of death. And then everybody would whip eggs at me. And I would be like, dude, like bruised. Like, oh, man, it sucked.
Incredible.
It was incredible. And then, you know, after that, I put my clothes back on, and we would wheel out. We had a fake fireplace, like a little, you know, and a big couch, and then me and all the other people in the show. So like the guitar player, whose name was Stain. He was like this 80s like burnout guitar player. And then my assistant Trixie back there. Yeah. We called her Trixie, and she like played this like ditzy girl in a sequin dress, and she was at like legitimately right there getting her PhD. Like she was the smartest person in the room. Yeah, it was super funny. And then we had like the straight man announcer who was like, through the show you realize that he's like this super deviant, like just wackadoo. And so we would all get on the couch, and then we would do like a fireside chat where we would like, you know, I would give like my Jerry Springer moment at the end of the show. And it was great. Yeah, it was super fun.
That's incredible. Without FU Let's Bake, is there Ace of Cakes?
No. Funnily enough, somebody recorded this, right? And we told everyone, like, do not record this. Like,
we're throwing out joints to the
audience. Yeah. I mean, we're doing illegal stuff here.
Yeah,
like, we could get arrested. Like, don't, you know, don't record this. And so somebody did and sent it to Authentic Entertainment, a production company out here in LA. Yeah. They saw it and they were like, I don't know who this guy is, but he needs to be on TV. And so they called up and they were like, can we film you like in your bakery doing your thing? And I was like, sure.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You found a way, that thrill you had with the graffiti art, doing something a little on the edge, like pushing the boundaries. You found a way to bring that to your expertise that you were crafting in food with this, and then your personality, and one thing leads to another. It's wild to look back at that and see, kind of connect the dots, how it led to the future success you would have.
This is crazy seeing that. That's so that right there, I was the bass player in an emo band called 2 Day Romance at the time, which is kind of describes a little bit of my look there.
I like it. I like it. Well, then obviously you kind of got started. So let's take a look at the next thing here and rewind. This is old school Duff here, very early days of Charm City.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Chef Duff from Charm City Cakes here in Baltimore, Maryland. A lot of people ask me why cakes. I started with graffiti and spray painting, and then I moved to metal sculpture, and so I've always made art. I've always made art, and I've always made food. So when art and food kind of collided, they sort of manifested themselves as cake.
Huh.
It's wild. So when you see that and you know the journey you would have from that point forward and look back, I mean, how does that make you feel to see kind of like, you know, the beginnings of the Duff that the world knows right there? Yeah.
I mean, besides the terrible mustache, I feel like I haven't changed that much, you know?
Yeah. Still the same guy.
That facial hair was like, I don't know if you could tell, but I was trying to go with Iron Man.
Oh,
that was
okay.
a Tony Stark look. I did not pull it off.
All right. Yeah.
There's this really cool picture I have of me and the woman who plays Ginny Weasley and the guy who plays Draco Malfoy. Yeah. And I have that mustache. And it's like, I love the photograph, and every time I'm like, that is unfortunate facial hair.
Oh, man. Well, we'll see if we can airbrush that out or something for you.
That's funny.
Yeah. So then you would go on, obviously, Ace of Cakes. Everyone got to know you through that show in 10 seasons and make some incredible cakes, insane cakes. I mean, you did a cake for Barack Obama's inauguration. You did an R2-D2 cake for George Lucas. You did a Hulk cake for Stan Lee. Erupting volcanoes, working roller coasters, wild. This next cake, I think, is one of your craziest, but I'm curious where you think it ranks and the story behind it. A life-size NASCAR. That is a cake. That is wild. It looks like a real car. And I mean, tell me a little bit about this. And well, first, yeah, let's start with this cake because this is insane. That's a piece of cake that you're slicing up that car right there.
Yeah, the back tires spin too, and smoke comes out of it like it's doing a burnout. It's like a whole shot. And there's an amp inside of it.
Yeah.
That we had a sound card where that is at Hendrix Motorsports in North Carolina, I believe.
Yeah.
And that's what they are manufacturing those engines there.
Yeah.
So if we had the sound of like a Ford engine, these guys would have been like, that's not one of our engines. So we had to get a recording of one of their engines and run it through the guitar amp to get the sound. Yeah. You know what's really cool about this too is I don't know if you can really tell from the spoiler, but NASCARs, they only turn left. So the spoilers on those things are offset because they're constantly turning.
Yeah.
And we offset the spoiler, and there was this party was probably like 3,000 people.
Yeah.
There's probably like 3 or 4 people at the party that would get that. And a couple of them came over and they're like, hey, we designed these things, and we're like looking at the spoiler. They're like, nice job, man. That they appreciate it.
The
like
attention to detail.
Yeah, like that felt really good. That
That's
like the
incredible.
guys that like obsess about this stuff are like, oh, cool, like they get it.
That's
what
amazing.
I mean? Yeah, it was cool. It was neat, man. We like I don't know if you realize it, but like the engine blocks for those engines, they have CNC machines out there. They create each engine block for each one of their engines. Like it's not like they're getting them from auto parts store. Like these guys build everything from scratch. All the bolts and the nuts and everything they are cutting out themselves.
Just like you do. So, I mean, it's like both of you are, and I think they saw that in you too. Is there any cake, I mean, you've done thousands over the years, a few that stand out? I'm sure you're asked that all the time because you've done crazy cakes, but, or is there anything that like is just impossible? Is anything possible? You can take on any challenge?
I mean, we've been able to people ask us for crazy stuff. We've been able to pretty much rise to the occasion. We made a life-size elephant for this guy once. And it was nuts. And me and my assistant drove it from Baltimore to Arizona.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. Over Thanksgiving, and we had we were trying to get Thanksgiving dinner. We were somewhere in the middle of America.
Yeah, right.
The only thing that was open was a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Ooh,
so we're like,
Buffalo
actually, you know what?
Yeah.
Football and poultry.
Yeah.
That's Thanksgiving. So we went to
pretty
Buffalo
much.
Wild Wings. It was great.
Yeah, I kind of love some Buffalo
Dude,
Wild Wings.
those wings are awesome.
They're the best.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, that's
Really
amazing.
good.
Do you have a cake you're most proud of over the years? I mean, you've done so many. I don't know if they all kind of start to blend together. It's like saying your favorite child or something like that. It's hard, but I don't know. Is there one when you're asked that question that you always think of?
That's a good question. We got to do for the finale of season 2 of Buddy versus Duff. We got to do a Star Wars cake, and we got to do it at Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland.
Yeah,
and I think that cake, I think I'm the most proud of that one. I think because the team came together and everybody did the thing that they were awesome at, and everybody was communicating. We were all firing on the same cylinders. Just when you get 5 guys on a basketball court that are same mindset, hive mind, you get magic. Right.
Sure.
And the same thing here. We were all everybody had the vision. Everybody knew their role. Nobody was more important than anybody else. We all had something to do. And we all came together. We all helped each other. And we created this just phenomenal cake. It was like a 9-foot X-Wing that rose out of the swamp of Dagobah.
Yeah.
And then the wings open up. And then Yoda standing there made out of chocolate, life-size Yoda that raises his hand. He is raising the X-Wing out of the swamp and all the smoke coming off and it was right out of Empire Strikes Back. It was super, super nuts. And it was just incredible.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it was really cool.
That's amazing. I mean, really, what is possible that you create? It's wild. Well,
We'll figure it out.
My favorite cake you've ever made is my wedding cake. So thank you for that. And,
You're welcome.
I mean, that's a meaningful thing for people that they will look back on photos, remember that for the rest of their life. I mean, how does that feel when people turn to you to design something for one of the biggest days of their life and they trust you with that?
One of my favorite things about social media is, and I'm serious, people that I was making, I started Charm City Cakes in 2002. This March will be our 20th.
Wow.
We've been open 20.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But when people send me pictures, be like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but you made this cake. It was 2004.
Yeah.
And the thing is back then, especially, you know, I built the website. I was taking all the pictures. I was delivering the cakes. I was baking most of them. I was
Yeah.
decorating pretty much most
Doing
of
it
them. You
all.
know, it was like a very, very small operation. Like there's a period from the day I opened till about like Ace of Cake started, so like 2005. I remember the last name of every single. If you show me a cake from back then, I can be like Ittings,
Wow.
Johnson. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I know their last name. It's crazy.
That's amazing.
And so people like send me their picture. I'm like, yeah, I remember that cake. And like, man, I wish I was better at making cakes back then. You know, like, you know, it's really funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's just like to be part of those memories, you know, for people is really nice. You
That's
know?
a really
Like,
special thing.
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, and it's cool. I think for people because they're like, this is like I was working like I didn't have a health department certification. I was working out of my apartment I bought a house and I was working out of my row house in Baltimore. And you know, people trusted me to make their cakes and like, you know, because it was cheaper than going to a bakery because it was just like some dude in his house.
Yeah.
And you know, when people are like, man, like, you know, you're this like
They
big
follow you
star,
and see that.
and
yeah.
like back then you were just some guy in your living room making cakes.
Yeah.
Like this is so cool. And I'm like,
Right.
yeah, man, it's great. So it's,
That's
yeah, we
cool.
have like a really nice like, you know, we've made a lot of friends over the years.
That's
it's
awesome.
really cool.
It's like seeing the rock star perform before they blew up.
Yeah.
And you being a musician, you still continue that passion as well, which leads us to our next clip here on
Oh,
Rewind
no.
because you know how to rock out. You do, man. You shred. Greatest guitar player of all time, perhaps? I think so. I think so.
that
Yeah.
would be Prince.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yeah.
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 So that's foie gras,
That is
right?
foie gras. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about foie gras, the band, and how you still pursue music. It's a passion of yours, and you're still
Yeah.
keep it alive.
That's crazy. Yeah. So foie gras is you know, it's a bunch of chefs. Everybody in that band works in kitchens.
Amazing.
And so that's why we're called foie gras.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to be called Bread Zeppelin.
Oh,
but
I like
yeah,
that.
I thought
like
that was
that.
good, but you know, they kind of like they shot me down.
All right. The bass player doesn't always get to choose the name of the band. I think is the yeah.
So you know, we were all in bands. We've all like, you know, I've been playing music for a long time. All those guys are incredible musicians.
Yeah.
We've all been in bands. And I remember like when I was like, you know, in like, you know, 2 Day Romance and all these other bands, like, you know, these like original touring rock bands. And you're like, I will never be in a cover band ever. That's like your life is over, you know.
Right,
and
right.
now I'm in a cover band. I'm like, this is the best.
Yeah.
Because like when you're in like an original band, you go on tour, you play for like 12 people at some stupid bar in like, you know, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And like nobody comes and it's like, you know, whatever, you know, it's just
right.
like you're not a rock star. But then like, you know, when you play Stone Temple
The hits,
Pilots
yeah.
and Led Zeppelin and like all these cool bands, people are like, I love this song. You're like, this is great.
Yeah, right.
Like we're playing a song that everybody likes. You
Yeah.
know? Like it's
You're playing
good.
the hits. You rock out.
Yeah.
You feel like
so
it.
it's good. And like, you know, I like, you know, my sous chef Jeff is also in the band.
Oh, nice.
He's a much better musician than me. But like it's just we need that, you know. And Charm City Cakes was really started as a way for me and Jeff to be in rock bands and pay the rent, right? So you know,
Yeah.
I was like, I want to be a professional musician. So I was selling cakes out of my apartment, paying the rent, and then you know when the record company came with a huge contract for millions of dollars, I wouldn't have to make cakes anymore.
Right.
And I'm still waiting. Any day now, Sony.
That's right. When they see this episode, they see that clip and the
Yeah.
way you can shred. That's
Like,
right.
wow, that 40-year-old
exactly.
dude really could play some Stone Temple
and then
Pilots.
that guy from the French Laundry would be like, "Oh, he's not the best guitar player of all time."
No,
yeah,
he's
right.
definitely not.
All right, let's take one more look. This is our last rewind clip here. This is back to the beginning. Cake's involved in this one too, but this is a pic of from way back in the day.
I still have that high chair.
Yeah?
I do. Yeah,
do?
It's in the basement of the bakery in Baltimore. It's a panda.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
amazing. That's
yeah.
amazing. And
That's my
you-
brother Willie.
You and your brother Willie. Tell me a little bit about your brother Willie, because I know you guys are close, but also he's played a big role in your life, in your professional career as well.
Yeah. So Willie was the executive producer of Ace of Cakes.
Awesome.
And he was my manager for a long time. Like, just, I don't know anything about Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like, it's a crazy business. So he was like, he's a writer. He's been out here for a long time, since he graduated college. And he, was just sort of like protecting me and making sure I didn't, like, it's easy in Los Angeles to, go wayward.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, this is I love LA.
Yeah.
I love it here. I think it's great. It's an easy place to lose your way, and I think he was, and also when you have the attention span of a gnat, sometimes it is easy to, kind of get distracted by shiny things, which
Sure.
I do. And, my brother was there to kind of like, help me from making bad decisions, which I mean, basically he's been doing his whole life. You know what I mean? He's the best older brother ever, because he's like calm, level-headed, and he's just like, you're being an idiot. Like, you need to, do whatever. And
That's great.
Yeah, he's a good older brother. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, there you are, and of course, cake is involved.
And there's some cake.
Right? Yeah.
Oh,
exactly. Nice. Well, thanks for taking a look back at some of the past fun Duff Goldman history there. Now, I collect a lot of things. I collect cards. I collect jerseys. I collect sneakers. I collect homage T-shirts, super soft. I probably got hundreds of these. Are the best, right?
Okay.
I collect all that fun stuff. But Duff Goldman, do you collect anything? This is a segment we call Cool, Calm, and Collected. You're all three of those things. So what do you collect, Duff?
Well, I definitely like collect T-shirts. Like, I just, everywhere I go, I try to, see if there's like, if there's like a restaurant or something and I like it, I'm like, I want a T-shirt.
Shout out to Zabar's. Yeah, Upper West Side, New York
man.
City. Let's go.
Yeah, Zabar's
Great
good.
deli.
But my biggest sort of the thing I collect is bison.
Wow.
This is a bison that one of my employees felted for me.
Wow.
I have, a bunch of different bison around the house. I have this big brass one that I was on a show, and they got like this big brass bison head as like set dressing. And when I was leaving, I was like, can I have that? And they were like, absolutely. Yeah. And so,
Oh my God. Can I see that real quick?
Yeah.
So why bison? Why, what drew you to bison enough that's like, I want to collect these guys?
I mean, look at them. Bison are awesome.
They are pretty cool.
Right? They're like, bison are like, they're like half racehorse, half bulldozer. They're like, I don't know. There's something about like they're like calm and confident.
Yeah.
And I like to think that I'm like calm and confident, right? And like, you get in their way, like they won't really slow down, but you're not going to win that battle of physics.
Is that your spirit animal? Are you a bison?
I think it is.
I think so.
I mean,
As you're describing it. Yeah.
I'm a super softy, but like, I can
just don't.
I can take care of myself.
Yeah, don't stand between me and the Gates barbecue.
Yeah,
exactly.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I love bison. I think they're they're like, just what they mean for America, for the land,
Sure.
They're making a huge comeback. I mean, we hunted bison. I think there were less than 1,000. I think there was like less than a couple hundred. Yeah, there were only a couple hundred left in the wild. And they're coming back. There's almost 1 million now. You can buy bison meat. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, they're doing much better. And like everywhere that you introduce bison to the land, everything starts coming back.
Yeah.
The wolves come back, and when the wolves come back, the grass comes back. When the grass comes back, the birds come back, and the bees come back, and, all the insects come back. So it's, bison are really, really good, for everything. But they're just awesome.
Cool.
I just love them.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Well, thanks for bringing that.
Yeah, sure.
And I mentioned one of the things that I collect are cards. So this next segment is called Association Word Association. Our friends at Panini hooked us up with this very rare box of NFL trading cards. This is 2021 Panini NFL trading cards. There are 2 packs in here. You get to choose which pack, and we're going to play a little game with these, okay?
Okay.
So I know you're a big football fan. You're a Ravens fan.
I am a Ravens
right?
fan,
So
yeah.
How long have you been a Ravens fan? Tell me a little about your Ravens history, because we were talking about this before. Me being a Cleveland Browns fan, I'm not a Ravens fan. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that is definitely what a Ravens fan would do. Yeah, point and laugh at the Cleveland fan. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how long have you been Ravens fan?
Since day one. All right, so here's what happened. I grew up in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Right? I was a Patriots fan.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Baltimore for undergrad. And while I was in college, the Ravens became a team. Back then, the Patriots.
I remember that day. Because
yes,
they
you
weren't
do.
a team. They were the Cleveland Browns. Yeah.
Well, the Patriots, like, they weren't that good back then.
Right.
And I was sort of like, yeah, whatever. I wasn't really into them.
Yeah.
But then, like, the Ravens just, like, I don't know. They just had this swagger about them. They were like
did.
new, scrappy. We had just stolen this other city's team. Like, it was just like, I just loved their vibe, you know?
What I hate about them.
Oh,
You
yeah.
stole everything.
They were
Okay.
great.
all right.
And they were playing at the old Memorial Stadium where,
Yeah.
like, you know, the 80s Orioles used to
Yeah,
play. Like,
yeah.
I don't know, that place it's not there anymore, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But, like, that was a great stadium. And, like, there was just something about it. I was like, you know what? I feel like you get one in your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're able to, like, you know, because I still love the Bruins.
Yep.
You know, I still love the Red Sox.
Yeah.
You know, I don't really, like, I'm not a huge basketball guy, but I love the Celtics. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, I
Yep.
love Boston sports, but the Ravens are my team.
The Ravens are your squad. Do you have
Yeah.
an all-time favorite Ravens player?
Oh, man. All-time favorite Ravens player. I got to say, Haloti Ngata.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
A
Haloti
good cut
Ngata,
there,
man.
yeah.
He is just one of the greatest nose tackles. One of the,
Yeah.
I mean, that guy was
Yeah.
a monster.
Monster.
He was terrifying. I was talking to Jesse Palmer.
Mhm.
You know Jesse
Yeah,
Palmer,
yeah.
right?
Of course.
So I was
Former
talking to Jesse
quarterback,
Palmer.
now TV host.
Yeah, yeah. And I was like, you know, like who's like one of the scariest guys, like
Yeah.
besides Ray Lewis? And he was like, man, when somebody the size of Haloti Ngata is moving as fast as he moves right at you,
Yeah.
like it's terrifying.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, sure.
terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah, man. And he's like the nicest, sweetest, like warmest. Every time I see him, we get big hugs. Like he is the sweetest guy. But man, I can't imagine.
I've
getting
met
flat,
Troy
man.
Polamalu a few times. Same
yeah.
thing. The most soft-spoken, sweetest, kindest, gentlest soul, and on the field, it's like just a terror.
Yeah,
you know?
he was so
Yeah.
much fun to watch. play.
Yeah, I mean, I always hated the Ravens, but I loved Ed Reed. Ed Reed,
yeah,
just such a game changer. Every game I'd watch, he'd have an interception, defensive fumble. All right, so we are going to open one of these packs of cards. Do you want the one on the right or the left?
I'll take the right.
The right. Here we go. All right, we're going to open this pack. There are 7 cards in here. All right, that's it. And word association. The first thing that comes to your mind when I show you the player, you tell me. Now, hopefully we get some Ravens. No pressure if you don't know everyone. The NFL's a big league. But still, you're a creative guy. The first thing that comes to your mind when I show you this player, word association.
Okay.
So get into a meditative space. Get in the zone here. Yep. All right. I don't want you thinking. Some people overthink this. Here we go.
Bring it to me.
Panini hooking it up here. Here we go. First player, of course, Baker Mayfield.
He's hilarious.
Great actor, right?
Yeah, hilarious.
Commercials?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Unfortunately, a Ravens fan would say hilarious because
Adorable.
Baker.
Dude, Baker's great.
Yeah.
Baker, you know, he kind of reminds me of like Donovan McNabb, where you just want him to be
Yes.
a little bit better than he is. You know he's awesome, but you just want him to be a little bit better.
I love Donovan McNabb too. Went to
Yeah.
Syracuse. These are all my guys here.
guy.
All right. Oh, this next one. This is a nice card here. Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Yeah, I don't know.
The quarterback for the Eagles. Young guy, went to Alabama.
Jim's Steaks on South Street.
Yes. All right.
Yeah.
Good. That's where
There you
we're getting it. Is
Okay.
that when you go to Philly for a cheesesteak? Is that the spot?
Jim's
I've
Steaks.
been to Jim's Steaks.
Yeah, Jim's.
Yeah.
That is my favorite place.
Yeah.
I get provolone, not whiz. No peppers, no onions.
Oh.
Mayonnaise, lettuce, steak, provolone. That's it.
Interesting. No peppers, no onions. I'm with you on the provolone.
Bell peppers ruin everything.
No, hot peppers. Hot peppers.
No, not hot peppers.
I like hot peppers.
The peppers
Yeah.
and onions that they grill. You know
Okay,
what I mean?
all right.
Yeah. They ruin everything they touch. Bell
Bell
peppers
peppers?
ruin everything they touch. Bell peppers. If there was a vegetable that I could snap my fingers, it would just disappear from the planet. Bell peppers. I hate them.
Hot take. Shots fired, bell peppers. You're on the hot seat. Let's go.
I just got kicked out of New Orleans. They're not going to let me back in. They're like,
Yeah,
oh,
man. Oh,
yeah.
man. And Philly, potentially, depending on, like, no whiz there. All right. Okay, next guy. Quarterback, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, my association would be Tyrod Taylor.
Mm,
One
okay.
of my, he was a backup in
Yeah.
Baltimore for a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
And everybody in Baltimore loved Tyrod. They loved him. And then when he went to Buffalo, like everybody was like super excited for him. They were like, man, sad to see him go, but like he's too good. He's got to play, So
Yeah.
yeah, we love Tyrod.
Yeah, Tyrod Taylor. He's been a backup in so many places, but always like very effective player. Like everywhere he's been.
Everybody loved him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
they did.
definitely. Okay, this next guy is a rookie for the Minnesota Vikings. This is actually a rare card here, number 13 of 99. So that's good. There's
Hold
only
on to that.
99 of these in existence. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Panini. Patrick Jones II, his rookie card. He's a Minnesota Vikings player. First thing that comes to your mind.
Shore lunch.
Where's the shore lunch?
Shore lunch. So when you fish
Yeah.
in Minnesota,
Yeah.
you catch like I don't know, what do you get in Minnesota? You get like a pike.
Okay,
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
good northern pike.
Right.
Then you go to the shore and you cook it.
Just right there, fresh.
shore lunch.
I like that. Yeah, growing up on the Lake Erie, walleye, same thing.
Walleye, classic shore lunch.
Yeah,
fodder.
definitely. Yeah. Okay.
So all of my references are food.
That makes sense. Okay, this next guy, this is a crazy looking card here. His name is Pat Freiermuth, but Pittsburgh Steelers.
I know that guy.
Yeah.
I know that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steelers. Like,
What do you think about the Steelers? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this crazy card?
I tell you, man, the Steelers-Ravens rivalry is one of the best in sports.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I've noticed over the years of being a Ravens fan, it doesn't matter how good the Steelers are and how bad the Ravens are playing, or vice versa. Like right now, Steelers are like way down there, right?
Yeah.
Way down there.
Yeah.
Might even be worse than the Browns.
Don't say it like that. Don't say it like that.
Which
Yeah,
is
they
like
are. They are, but
little
I don't
embarrassing.
appreciate the way you say it like that. It's not
But like, I mean, they're
kind.
way down there.
Yeah.
It does not matter. Like, it is anyone's game. And like when those two teams come together, it is
Yeah.
magic. Magic happens. Defensive magic, running magic, special
know.
teams magic. There's so much good stuff. And, like,
Especially late in the season. I like when it's like bad weather too, and those teams grind it out.
Totally,
Yeah,
man.
for
That
sure.
is smash mouth. AFC North, big boy football.
Yeah, wow. I hate both those teams equally. Okay. All right. This is another rookie card, and it's autographed. We're crushing it. 14 of 199 autographed. Malcolm Kunks from the Vegas Raiders.
What a terrible idea putting a football team in Las Vegas. What a terrible. Okay, so my association, Soul Belly. Soul Belly Barbecue. Yeah, it's this barbecue joint in Vegas that had seriously. They have a pastrami beef rib.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I still dream about it.
Oh, man. All right.
Delicious. Yes,
Well, this has
Soul
been
Belly.
fun playing this with you and learning like the food around the country too. This is another Patrick Jones II rookie card. So we've already done him. I don't know. We have 2 of these. So
And there's only 99.
yeah, I know. This is impressive.
You have 2% of his rookie cards.
I'm not good at math, but I think you're right. Yeah, thank you, Patrick. That's right. Well done. Well done. Well, Duff Goldman, thanks for playing word association. You did well there.
Thanks.
You channeled it. You took it to food in a lot of spots, and I appreciate that.
All right.
Made me hungry this episode.
I
don't know about you. I'm getting real. I need to eat those ribs. All right.
It's kind of my job.
It is. You're good at it. You're very good at it. Our final segment here on In the Zone. I mentioned these, super soft shirts from Homage. It's a great brand in Columbus, Ohio. They're all about storytelling and paying homage. And I want to give you an opportunity, Duff Goldman, to pay homage to someone in your life who has helped pave the way for your success, whether it be a friend, a relative, a mentor. Maybe it's someone you've only met once or never met, but you've been inspired by them from afar. Duff Goldman, who do you want to pay homage to?
Man. God, I wish you prepared me for this. This is good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I know.
I mean, God, my mom is amazing. My brother's amazing. There's so many people. I'm gonna say. I think I'd like to pay homage to George Lucas. Yeah,
cool.
George Lucas. I think that just what he's sort of done, for creativity, for fantasy, for sci-fi, for just being a geeky weirdo. Like, you know, I've been a weirdo my whole life. I mean, I'm not, you know, like I'm not your sort of typical sort of whatever. I don't know. Like I've been a weird guy. And like growing up, when you grow up weird, right? That's difficult, right? It's hard. It's hard to be a weirdo when you're in elementary school and middle school, and people are like, why are you so weird? You know, like just be cool. And you just can't because you're a weirdo. And I feel like George Lucas gave this, like, he like created this community. He didn't just create this world of Star Wars and the Force and everything, but he created this community where like fantasizing about laser swords and space magic is cool, right? And it's like, it's cool to like, you know, it's cool to like fictionalize physics, you know. It's cool to, you know, take something like as amazing as like Japanese Japanese Bushido culture and turn that into this like crazy space saga. You know, he made it cool to like know what Bushido meant, and like he made it cool to be like interested and enthusiastic about stuff. You know, because a lot of times, like, you know, like when we're growing up, it's like detachment is seen as cool. Like not being affected is seen as cool. Like not being smart is seen as cool. And like, I feel like, you know, when you're like a Star Wars nerd, like it's okay to be smart. It's okay to like, you know, like be interested in stuff and be excited about things. And I feel like a lot of times like that sort of gets beat out of us when we're kids. You know what I mean? We're like, man, you're nerdy, like you're into computers. And it's like, computers are cool. You know, like people do weird stuff with them, but like they're cool, like in and of themselves. Like it's cool to know how that fridge works. You know what I mean? It's like it's cool to know there's a compressor in there, and that's like taking the heat and the moisture out of the air and turning it into cold through condensation. Like that's cool. Yeah, it's neat. And I don't know. I feel like George Lucas kind of like, you know, created this movement that has blossomed into so many things. I mean, God, that guy must just sit back and be like, yes, 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 meh, yes, keep it going. You know what I mean? Like just like seeing like all the things that he's just influenced and like made awesome, and not just made awesome, but like given people permission to also make things awesome. You know, I don't know. He's great.
Well, that's great. And everything you just said, I think a lot of people could say the exact same things about you. You've given people permission to be awesome, to be weird, to be themselves, to create, to push the limits of what is possible, as you've done that in so many parts of your career, with cake, with baking, on television. And thank you for sharing that with the world and here with us today on In the Zone. And before you get out of here, because you know I do like cards and collecting cards, this is a limited edition Duff Goldman Series 1 In the Zone trading card. That's right.
Oh, yeah.
There's only 5 of these in existence.
All-star chef cake artist.
That's right.
Nice.
So take that, Patrick Jones, because there's only 5 of these, unlike the 99 rookie cards. We're going to have you autograph all 5 of them. One of them is for you. One's going to go on our wall of fame with all of our guests. And the other 3 we're going to give away to our fans and followers on social media, give you guys a chance. Make sure you're following us here at In the Zone. And, of course, Duff Goldman, our amazing guest here today, so you can get an autographed In the Zone card. Duff Goldman, thank you for being here and getting in the zone with me today. This has been a blast.
This is really amazing. I got to tell you, Jason, like, you know, I've done a lot of, you know, podcastings and interview things. This is awesome. You guys are making this. This is really fun. It's like, you know, like your questions are like, they're good and they're real. I mean, just like the like all these pictures, all this stuff you found, like this is really incredible, man.
Thanks, man. Well, thank you for saying that. I'm glad you had a great time. Next time you come back, we're going to have the salad dressing from Lazy R for you too, all right?
I appreciate it.
Make it happen.
Oh, man. Do I get to eat the barbecue now?
You get to eat the barbecue. That's a good way to end it. Yes.
I've been waiting for that.